Elephants are the largest living land animals. 3 living species are currently recognized: the African bush elephant, Loxodonta africana, the African forest elephant, L. cyclotis, and the Asian elephant, Elephas maximus. They are the only surviving members of the family Elephantidae in the order Proboscidea. Extinct relatives include mammoths and mastodons. Distinctive features of elephants include a long proboscis called a trunk, tusks, large ear flaps, pillar-like legs, and tough but sensitive gray skin. The trunk is prehensile, bringing food and water to the mouth and grasping objects. Tusks, which are derived from the incisor teeth, serve both as weapons and as tools for moving objects and digging. The large ear flaps assist in maintaining a constant body temperature as well as in communication. African elephants have larger ears and concave backs, whereas Asian elephants have smaller ears and convex or level backs. Elephants are scattered throughout sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and Southeast Asia and are found in different habitats, including savannas, forests, deserts, and marshes. They are herbivorous, and they stay near water when it is accessible. They are considered to be keystone species due to their impact on their environments. Elephants have a fish infusion society, in which many family groups come together to socialize. Females, cows, tend to live in family groups, which can consist of one female with her calves or several related females with offspring. The leader of a female group, usually the oldest cow, is known as the matriarch. Males, bulls, leave their family groups when they reach puberty and may live alone or with other males. Adult bulls mostly interact with family groups when looking for a mate. They enter a state of increased testosterone and aggression known as musth, which helps them gain dominance over other males as well as reproductive success. Calves are the center of attention in their family groups and rely on their mothers for as long as 3 years. Elephants can live up to 70 years in the wild. They communicate by touch, sight, smell, and sound. Elephants use infrasound and seismic communication over long distances. Elephant intelligence has been compared with that of primates and cetaceans. They appear to have self-awareness and possibly show concern for dying and dead individuals of their kind. African bush elephants and Asian elephants are listed as endangered, and African forest elephants as critically endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN. One of the biggest threats to elephant populations is the ivory trade, as the animals are poached for their ivory tusks. Other threats to wild elephants include habitat destruction and conflicts with local people. Elephants are used as working animals in Asia. In the past, they were used in war. Today, they are often controversially put on display in zoos, or employed for entertainment in circuses. Elephants have an iconic status in human culture, and have been widely featured in art, folklore, religion, literature, and popular culture. Elephants are the largest living terrestrial animals. The skeleton is made up of 326 to 351 bones. The vertebrae are connected by tight joints, which limits the backbone's flexibility. African elephants have 21 pairs of ribs, while Asian elephants have 19 or 20 pairs. The skull contains air cavities, sinuses, that reduce the weight of the skull while maintaining overall strength. These cavities give the inside of the skull a honeycomb-like appearance. By contrast, the lower jaw is dense. The cranium is particularly large and provides enough room for the attachment of muscles to support the entire head. The skull is built to withstand great stress, especially when fighting or using the tusks. The brain is surrounded by arches in the skull, which serves as protection. Because of the size of the head, the neck is relatively short to provide better support. Elephants are homeotherms and maintain their average body temperature at approximately 36 degrees Celsius, 97 degrees Fahrenheit, with a minimum of 35.2 degrees Celsius, 95.4 degrees Fahrenheit, during the cool season, and a maximum of 38.0 degrees Celsius, 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, during the hot dry season. Elephant ear flaps, or pinnae, are 1 to 2 millimeters, 0.039 to 0.079 in, thick in the middle with a thinner tip and supported by a thicker base. They contain numerous blood vessels called capillaries. Warm blood flows into the capillaries, releasing excess heat into the environment. This effect is increased by flapping the ears back and forth. Larger ear surfaces contain more capillaries and more heat can be released. Of all the elephants, African bush elephants live in the hottest climates and have the largest ear flaps. The ossicles are adapted for hearing low frequencies, being most sensitive at 1 kHz. Lacking a lacrimal apparatus, tear duct, the eye relies on the Hardarian gland in the orbit to keep it moist. A durable nictitating membrane shields the globe. The animal's field of vision is compromised by the location and limited mobility of the eyes. Elephants are dichromats and they can see well in dim light but not in bright light. The elongated and prehensile trunk, or proboscis, consists of both the nose and upper lip, which fuse in early fetal development. This versatile appendage contains up to 150,000 separate muscle fascicles, with no bone and little fat. These paired muscles consist of 2 major types: superficial, surface, and internal. The former are divided into dorsal, ventral, and lateral muscles, while the latter are divided into transverse and radiating muscles. The muscles of the trunk connect to a bony opening in the skull. The nasal septum consists of small elastic muscles between the nostrils, which are divided by cartilage at the base. A unique proboscis nerve, a combination of the maxillary and facial nerves, lines each side of the appendage. As a muscular hydrostat, the trunk moves through finely controlled muscle contractions, working both with and against each other. Using 3 basic movements, bending, twisting, and longitudinal stretching or retracting, the trunk has nearly unlimited flexibility. Objects grasped by the end of the trunk can be moved to the mouth by curving the appendage inward. The trunk can also bend at different points by creating stiffened pseudo-joints. The tip can be moved in a way similar to the human hand. The skin is more elastic on the dorsal side of the elephant trunk than underneath, allowing the animal to stretch and coil while maintaining a strong grasp. The African elephants have 2 finger-like extensions at the tip of the trunk that allow them to pluck small food. The Asian elephant has only 1 and relies more on wrapping around a food item. Asian elephant trunks have better motor coordination. The trunk's extreme flexibility allows it to forage and wrestle other elephants with it. It is powerful enough to lift up to 350 kilograms, 770 pounds. But it also has the precision to crack a peanut shell without breaking the seed. With its trunk, an elephant can reach items up to 7 meters, 23 feet, high and dig for water in the mud or sand below. It also uses it to clean itself. Individuals may show lateral preference when grasping with their trunks. Some prefer to twist them to the left, others to the right. Elephant trunks are capable of powerful siphoning. They can expand their nostrils by 30%, leading to a 64% greater nasal volume, and can breathe in almost 30 times faster than a human sneeze. At over 150 meters per second, 490 feet per second, they suck up water, which is squirted into the mouth or over the body. The trunk of an adult Asian elephant is capable of retaining 8.5 L, 2.2 US gal, of water. They will also sprinkle dust or grass on themselves. When underwater, the elephant uses its trunk as a snorkel. The trunk also acts like a sense organ. Its sense of smell may be 4 times greater than a bloodhound's nose. The infraorbital nerve, which makes the trunk sensitive to touch, is thicker than both the optic and auditory nerves. Whiskers grow all along the trunk, and are particularly packed at the tip, where they contribute to its tactile sensitivity. Unlike those of many mammals, such as cats and rats, elephant whiskers do not move independently, whisked to sense the environment. The trunk itself must move to bring the whiskers into contact with nearby objects. Whiskers grow in rows along each side on the ventral surface of the trunk, which is thought to be essential in helping elephants balance objects there, whereas they are more evenly arranged on the dorsal surface. The number and patterns of whiskers are distinctly different between species. Damaging the trunk would be detrimental to an elephant's survival, although in rare cases, individuals have survived with shortened ones. One trunkless elephant has been observed to graze using its lips with its hind legs in the air and balancing on its front knees. Floppy trunk syndrome is a condition of trunk paralysis recorded in African bush elephants and involves the degeneration of the peripheral nerves and muscles. The disorder has been linked to lead poisoning. Elephants usually have 26 teeth, the incisors, known as the tusks, 12 deciduous premolars, and 12 moles. Unlike most mammals, teeth are not replaced by new ones emerging from the jaws vertically. Instead, new teeth start at the back of the mouth and push out the old ones. The first chewing tooth on each side of the jaw falls out when the elephant is 2 to 3 years old. This is followed by 4 more tooth replacements at the ages of 4 to 6, 9 to 15, 18 to 28, and finally in their early 40s. The final, usually 6th, set must last the elephant the rest of its life. Elephant teeth have loop-shaped dental ridges, which are more diamond-shaped in African elephants. The final, usually 6th, set must last the elephant the rest of its life. Elephant teeth have loop-shaped dental ridges, which are more diamond-shaped in African elephants. The tusks of an elephant have modified second incisors in the upper jaw. They replace deciduous milk teeth at 6 to 12 months of age and keep growing at about 17 centimeters, 7 in, a year. As the tusk develops, it is topped with smooth, cone-shaped enamel that eventually wanes. The dentine is known as ivory and has a cross-section of intersecting lines, known as engine turning, which creates diamond-shaped patterns. Being living tissue, tusks are fairly soft and about as dense as the mineral calcite. The tusk protrudes from a socket in the skull, and most of it is external. At least 1/3 of the tusk contains the pulp, and some have nerves that stretch even further. Thus, it would be difficult to remove it without harming the animal. When removed, ivory will dry up and crack if not kept cool and wet. Tusks function in digging, debarking, marking, moving objects, and fighting. Elephants are usually right or left tusked, similar to humans, who are typically right or left-handed. The dominant, or master, tusk, is typically more worn down, as it is shorter and blunter. For African elephants, tusks are present in both males and females, and are around the same length in both sexes, reaching up to 300 centimeters, 9 ft 10 in, but those of males tend to be more massive. In the Asian species, only the males have large tusks. Female Asians have very small tusks, or none at all. Tuskless males exist and are particularly common among Sri Lankan elephants. Asian males can have tusks as long as Africans, but they are usually slimmer and lighter. The largest recorded was 302 centimeters, 9 ft 11 in, long and weighed 39 kilograms, 86 lb. Hunting for elephant ivory in Africa and Asia has led to natural selection for shorter tusks and tusklessness. An elephant's skin is generally very tough. at 2.5 centimeters, 1 in, thick on the back and parts of the head. The skin around the mouth, anus, and inside of the ear is considerably thinner. Elephants are typically gray, but African elephants look brown or reddish after rolling in colored mud. Asian elephants have some patches of depigmentation, particularly on the head. Calves has brownish or reddish hair, with the head and back being particularly hairy. As elephants mature, their hair darkens and becomes sparser, but dense concentrations of hair and bristles remain on the tip of the tail and parts of the head and genitals. Normally, the skin of an Asian elephant is covered with more hair than its African counterpart. Their hair is thought to help them lose heat in their hot environments. Although tough, an elephant's skin is very sensitive and requires mud baths to maintain moisture and protect from burning and insect bites. After bathing, the elephant will usually use its trunk to blow dust onto its body, which dries into a protective crust. Elephants have difficulty releasing heat through the skin because of their low surface area to volume ratio, which is many times smaller than that of a human. They have even been observed lifting up their legs to expose their soles to the air. Elephants only have sweat glands between the toes, but the skin allows water to disperse and evaporate, cooling the animal. In addition, cracks in the skin may reduce dehydration and allow for increased thermal regulation in the long term. To support the animal's weight, an elephant's limbs are positioned more vertically under the body than in most other mammals. The long bones of the limbs have cancellous bones in place of medullary cavities. This strengthens the bones while still allowing hematopoiesis, blood cell creation. Both the front and hind limbs can support an elephant's weight, although 60% is borne by the front. The position of the limbs and leg bones allows an elephant to stand still for extended periods of time without tiring. Elephants are unable to turn their manus as the ulna and radius of the front legs are secured in pronation. Elephants may also lack the pronator quadratus and pronator teres muscles or have very small ones. The circular feet of an elephant have soft tissues, or cushion pads, beneath the manus or pes, which allows them to bear the animal's great mass. They appear to have a sesamoid, an extra toe, similar in placement to a giant panda's extra thumb, that also helps in weight distribution. As many as 5 toenails can be found on both the front and hind feet. Elephants can move both forward and backward, but are incapable of trotting, jumping, or galloping. They can move on land only by walking or ambling, a faster gait similar to running. In walking, the legs act as pendulums, with the hips and shoulders moving up and down while the foot is planted on the ground. The fast gait does not meet all the criteria of running, since there is no point where all the feet are off the ground. Although the elephant uses its legs much like other running animals, and can move faster by quickening its stride. Fast-moving elephants appear to run with their front legs, but walk with their hind legs and can reach a top speed of 25 km per hour, 16 miles per hour. At this speed, most other quadrupeds are well into a gallop. Even accounting for leg length, spring-like kinetics could explain the difference between the motion of elephants and other animals. The cushion pads expand and contract, and reduce both the pain and noise that would come from a very heavy moving animal. Elephants are capable swimmers. They can swim for up to 6 hours while completely waterborne, moving at 2.1 kilometers per hour, 1 mile per hour, and traversing up to 48 kilometers, 30 miles continuously. The brain of an elephant weighs 4.5 to 5.5 kilograms, 10 to 12 pounds, compared to 1.6 kilograms, 4 pounds, for a human brain. It is the largest of all terrestrial mammals. While the elephant brain is larger overall, it is proportionally smaller than the human brain. At birth, an elephant's brain already weighs 30 to 40% of its adult weight. The cerebrum and cerebellum are well developed, and the temporal lobes are so large that they bulge out laterally. Their temporal lobes are proportionally larger than those of other animals, including humans. The throat of an elephant appears to contain a pouch where it can store water for later use. The larynx of the elephant is the largest known among mammals. The vocal folds are anchored close to the epiglottis base. When comparing an elephant's vocal folds to those of a human, an elephant's are proportionally longer, thicker, with a greater cross-sectional area. In addition, they are located further up the vocal tract with an acute slope. The heart of an elephant weighs 12 to 21 kilograms, 26 to 46 pounds. Its apex has two pointed ends, an unusual trait among mammals. In addition, the ventricles of the heart split towards the top, a trait also found in sirenians. When upright, the elephant's heart beats around 28 beats per minute and actually speeds up to 35 beats when it lies down. The blood vessels are thick and wide and can hold up under high blood pressure. The lungs are attached to the diaphragm, and breathing relies less on the expanding of the rib cage. Connective tissue exists in place of the pleural cavity. This may allow the animal to deal with the pressure differences when its body is underwater and its trunk is breaking the surface for air. Elephants breathe mostly with the trunk but also with the mouth. They have a hindgut fermentation system, and their large and small intestines together reach 35 meters, 115 feet in length. Less than half of an elephant's food intake gets digested, despite the process lasting a day. An elephant's kidneys can produce more than 50 liters of urine per day. A male elephant's testes, like other Aphrotheria, are located internally near the kidneys. The penis can be as long as 100 centimeters, 39 in, with a 16 centimeters, 6 in, wide base. It curves to an S when fully erect and has an orifice shaped like a Y. The female's clitoris may be 40 centimeters, 16 in. The vulva is found lower than in other herbivores, between the hind legs instead of under the tail. Determining pregnancy status can be difficult due to the animal's large belly. The female's mammary glands occupy the space between the front legs, which puts the suckling calf within reach of the female's trunk. Elephants have a unique organ, the temporal gland, located on both sides of the head. This organ is associated with sexual behavior, and males secrete a fluid from it when in musth. Females have also been observed with these secretions.